Amal beams under the blinding ring light. Juma Mubarak, my loves. Her smile instantly snaps into hatred. She hurls the phone across the room. I hate this fake life, she screams into the sudden darkness. The scene opens on a trendy, overpriced marble cafe patio bathed in artificial, calculated golden hour light. Amal is there strictly to work, not to eat or enjoy the ambiance. She wears a sponsored designer outfit that looks stunning and effortless on camera, but feels incredibly uncomfortable, itchy, and tight in reality. A photographer friend snaps hundreds of photos rapidly, the shutter clicking obsessively like a machine gun. Amal shifts into automatic, unnatural poses like a well-trained robot, tilting her head just so to catch the light. Chin up, laugh naturally, Amal, show me joy, the photographer directs loudly over the cafe noise. She throws her head back in a fake, hollow, boisterous laugh at absolutely nothing funny, the sound echoing emptily. She checks the camera screen obsessively after every few shots, zooming in critically on pixels of her own face to find flaws. Delete that one immediately. My arm looks fat in that angle, she snaps coldly, the warmth leaving her eyes instantly. The expensive latte sitting on the table is just a cold prop, untouched and wasting away. She despises the fake smiles of the people watching her photo shoot. Every single movement she makes is engineered solely for engagement metrics and clicks, never for actual enjoyment. The colors are overly saturated, creating a high-definition falsehood. She is aggressively selling a lifestyle lie she can barely afford to maintain socially or financially. Later, Amal sits in her flawlessly curated, aesthetically pleasing, beige-toned living room that feels more like a set than a home. She is obsessively adjusting a large tripod and ring light pointing directly at a plush designer prayer mat. She isn't preparing her heart or soul for prayer. She is meticulously preparing the shot composition, lighting angles, and background aesthetics. She adjusts her expensive designer prayer dress so the brand logo is subtly but clearly visible to the lens for brand recognition. She hits record on her phone with a tired, heavy sigh, checking the framing one last time. She steps onto the mat, performing the physical movements of Salah with exaggerated, slow, cinematic grace, designed specifically for Reels and TikTok transitions. In her mind, there is absolutely no spiritual connection to Allah whatsoever. Her heart is numb. She is only thinking about which trending audio track and emotive, relatable captions will get the most shares and saves. As soon as she finishes the final salam, she lunges desperately for the phone before even making dua. She doesn't reflect on her prayer. She immediately watches the playback, criticizing her own posture and lighting angles. The sacred act of worship has become just another piece of monetizable content to feed the feed. She feels utterly hollow, using her faith as a mere prop for online clout and validation. The scene shifts abruptly and violently to late night in Amal's bedroom. The aesthetic perfection of her feed is replaced by a chaotic, dirty, overwhelming reality she hides. The room is a disaster zone of endless opened PR boxes, styrofoam packing peanuts, and discarded clothes covering every available surface. Expensive designer handbags are piled up haphazardly like garbage in a dusty corner. Amal sits in the dark, illuminated only by the harsh, unforgiving blue light of her laptop screen. The screen displays her online banking portal, showing glaring, aggressive red negative numbers and overdraft warnings. She is staring at multiple maxed-out credit cards used solely to fund this fake online life of luxury. She rubs her temples fiercely, digging her fingers in, her head pounding with crushing, debilitating stress and anxiety. A notification pops up on screen with a ping, an urgent email from a major brand canceling a crucial sponsorship deal due to budget cuts. Her stomach drops violently with fear. She desperately needed that specific money just to pay rent this month and avoid eviction. The cluttered walls piled high with unpaid products feel like they are physically closing in to crush her. The curated image of success is literally burying her alive in a mountain of secret, crippling debt. Amal tries desperately to escape the crushing anxiety and noise by reading the Quran. She sits under the cold, clinical, interrogating glare of her large ring light in her messy room, seeking peace. She opens the holy book, hoping against hope to find some genuine comfort or a sign from God amid the chaos. But her phone, propped right next to the book, is buzzing and flashing relentlessly with notifications and dopamine hits. Alerts for new likes, comments, and DMs flash distractingly every single second, demanding her immediate attention. The artificial, cool light from the phone screen overpowers the warm, sacred pages of the Quran. Her eyes keep darting involuntarily away from the Arabic text to the scrolling notifications on the screen, addicted to the engagement. She reads the same verse 3 times without understanding or absorbing a single word of its deeper meaning. Her mind is completely filled with algorithm statistics, engagement rates, and caption ideas, not divine remembrance. She feels a profound, aching, terrifying, black emptiness in her chest where her faith should be. She is spiritually starving to death while pretending to feed thousands of others with inspiration online every day. The ring light casts strange, unnatural shadows, making her look like a trapped prisoner in her own room. The relentless digital noise drowns out the silence her soul desperately needs to heal. Amal is in an ultra-exclusive, brightly lit, high-end designer boutique, attempting desperately to maintain her crumbling public image. She is buying a ridiculously expensive handbag she absolutely does not need and cannot afford, purely for an upcoming luxury haul video content to impress strangers. She approaches the marble counter with a rehearsed, confident, breezy smile, handing over her sleek, heavy metal credit card with a practiced flourish. The well-dressed sales assistant swipes it efficiently with a polite smile. Beep. The machine flashes a harsh, unforgiving red message. Declined. Amal's confident smile falters noticeably, a visible crack appearing in her porcelain mask. "Oh, that's so strange. Probably a bank error. Try this one," she says, laughing nervously, pulling out another card with fingers that are visibly trembling. Beep. Declined. Insufficient funds. Cold sweat instantly breaks out on her forehead beneath her heavy layers of makeup. The sales assistant's polite smile turns icy, condescending, and judgmental in an instant. The well-dressed customers standing in line behind her start whispering loudly and exchanging knowing, mocking glances. The pristine white walls of the expensive shop feel like they are physically closing in to crush her. The air becomes too thick and expensive to breathe. She has to leave the store empty-handed, her carefully curated image shattered publicly in front of the very people she tries to impress. The shame is a physical nausea rising in her throat. The facade is cracking wide open. Amal arrives back at the door of her aesthetic, expensive apartment building, utterly exhausted and drained from maintaining the public performance all day. There is an ominous, official-looking envelope taped aggressively at eye level to her apartment door. The text on the envelope is bright, alarming, aggressive red. Urgent, final eviction notice. Her breath catches violently in her throat. Her heart feels like it stops beating entirely. Her hands shake uncontrollably, dropping her keys as she rips it open right there in the beautifully lit hallway. The legal language inside is terrifying, brutal, and crystal clear. She has exactly 48 hours to pay thousands of dollars in back rent she simply does not have and cannot borrow, or face immediate eviction by the sheriff. She slides down against her own front door in the beautiful, curated aesthetic hallway, clutching the eviction paper tightly to her chest like a death warrant. She begins hyperventilating, gasping for air in blind panic, tears streaming down her face. The beautiful, Instagrammable apartment she sacrificed everything, her finances, her peace, her soul, for is about to be taken away. The lie is officially over. Cold reality has kicked down the door. She is about to be homeless, with nothing but useless designer clothes and massive, crippling debt to her name. She has to go live right now. She is contractually obligated to forecast a brand, despite her entire world crumbling around her. She puts on the heavy makeup armor like war paint, turns on the blinding hot ring lights, and forces the widest, fakest, most brittle smile yet. "Hey guys, so excited to be here with you all," she starts, but her voice is shaking audibly, cracking under the strain. The comments scroll by fast on the screen. Some fans are loving it, but others are asking probing, invasive questions about why she looks so tired, sad, or different lately. The questions hit a raw, exposed nerve she can no longer protect. The fake smile trembles violently on her lips and then breaks completely, dissolving into a grimace of pain. A real, hot, heavy tear cuts a visible track through her thick foundation and contour. She tries desperately to wipe it away quickly to keep the act going, but a loud, ugly, uncontrollable sob escapes her throat instead. The facade shatters live in real time for thousands of shocked viewers to see. She starts screaming, not at them, but at the trap of her life. She knocks the tripod over with a violent shove in a fury. The phone hits the floor hard, camera facing the ceiling, broadcasting only the sound of her uncontrollable, gut-wrenching sobbing off-screen to thousands of stunned viewers. The stream is cut abruptly. Amal retreats to her bathroom, escaping the digital wreckage she just created. The lighting here is unforgiving, harsh, fluorescent reality. There is no flattering ring light or filter to save her face now. She looks into the large mirror above the sink. Half her face is still influencer perfection with flawless makeup. The other half is a streaked, messy, tear-stained reality of despair and ruined mascara running down her cheeks. She looks like a clown, a fake, a grotesque monster of her own vanity's creation. In a sudden fit of blind, uncontrollable rage at her own false image, she violently swipes all the expensive, sponsored skincare bottles, perfumes, and makeup off the counter with her arm. Glass smashes loudly onto the tiled floor, expensive serums and creams pooling uselessly amidst the dangerous shards. She grips the edge of the sink tightly until her knuckles turn white, staring intensely into her own terrified, empty eyes in the mirror. The spiritual void she felt before is now a gaping black hole consuming her entirely. She realizes with devastating clarity that she sold her soul for likes that aren't real, and now she has absolutely nothing left but debt and shame. She is at absolute rock bottom, surrounded by the broken debris of her vanity. Amal slides down slowly from the sink onto the cold bathroom floor, heedless of the sharp, broken glass and sticky, spilled products surrounding her. The blind anger drains away, leaving only a crushing, profound, soul-deep exhaustion in its wake. She curls into a tight ball, the expensive, ruined designer clothes feeling like a heavy, suffocating costume she desperately wants to tear off her skin. For the first time in years, she feels a genuine, primal urge to turn to God, not for content or validation, but out of sheer, raw desperation and emptiness. She doesn't have a plush prayer mat. She isn't wearing a perfectly styled designer prayer dress. She just turns awkwardly towards the Qibla right there on the messy, dirty bathroom tiles and puts her forehead humbly on the ground amidst the wreckage of her vanity. It is the most sincere sajda she has ever made in her life. Ya Allah, she whispers hoarsely, her voice thick with real hot tears, not staged ones for a camera. I am lost. I have been worshipping an image, a lie. I am empty inside. Please, if you are still there, help me find my way back. There is no camera recording this moment, no ring light. It is raw, ugly, messy, and completely real. In that lowest moment of humility, stripping away the persona entirely, she finally opens a true channel for divine grace to enter her heart. Amal wakes up the next morning, stiff and sore, realizing she slept on the bathroom floor all night. Natural morning sunlight streams in from the small window, illuminating the chaotic mess of broken glass and spilled products from the night before in harsh, unforgiving detail. She stands up slowly, muscles aching, and walks quietly into her bedroom. The large ring light tripod is still toppled over on the floor where it fell, looking pathetic, broken, and absurd in the natural morning light, like a fallen idol of a false religion she no longer serves. She looks at her reflection in the bedroom mirror. Her face is bare, puffy from hours of crying, and her hair is messy under her underscarf. But for the first time in a long time, the eyes staring back aren't frantically calculating angles or checking for flaws. They look calm, clear, and present. She picks up her phone. It's flooded with hundreds of worried messages, news articles, and hateful comments about her public meltdown. A wave of old panic rises in her chest, but she takes a deep, steady breath and deliberately pushes it down. She doesn't open Instagram to apologize, explain, or spin the narrative for engagement. Instead, she quietly walks over to her dusty bookshelf, picks up her neglected Quran, blows the thick dust off the cover with a gentle breath, and sits in a patch of natural sunlight on the floor to read, leaving the phone face down and silent in the other room. The next few days become a whirlwind of focused, intense physical activity for Amal. She is not creating content. She is systematically dismantling her fake life, brick by brick. The scene shows her bedroom being ruthlessly cleared out. She is sorting through hundreds of designer dresses, shoes, handbags, and unopened PR packages, packing them into large cardboard boxes. She is photographing them, not for aesthetic Instagram likes, but with clinical efficiency for online resale marketplaces to generate cash. It is grueling, humbling, physical work. Every expensive item she packs away feels like pulling off a piece of a heavy, suffocating costume that was drowning her. She drives to a consignment store, her car trunk stuffed to the brim with luxury handbags that used to define her self-worth. Selling them for a fraction of their price hurts her ego deeply. But as she hands over the keys to the expensive leased car she can no longer afford and trades it for a modest used one, a massive physical weight lifts from her chest. Her apartment grows emptier day by day, echoing slightly, but the air inside feels lighter, cleaner, and easier to breathe. She uses the cash from the desperate sales to pay the immediate eviction debt just in time. She is still broke, but she is no longer drowning in immediate danger. The golden cage is being disassembled bar by bar. A week later, Amal's apartment looks sparse, almost empty compared to its previous cluttered, product-filled state. It is time for Asr prayer. There is no tripod set up, no large ring light humming impatiently in the corner waiting for her to perform. Amal is wearing a simple, comfortable, plain cotton prayer outfit, not a designer piece meant for showing off. Her face is completely free of makeup, glowing only with natural light and clean water from wudu. She steps onto her mat in the quiet, mostly empty living room. She raises her hands for takbir, and this time, her focus is entirely 100% inward. She is not performing for an invisible online audience. She is standing vulnerably before her creator. As she recites Al-Fatiha, the words resonate deeply in her chest, filling the massive spiritual void that millions of likes and shares never could. When she goes into sujud, she stays there for a long time, weeping silently and uncontrollably. These are not tears of despair or performance, but tears of profound gratitude, relief, and repentance. She feels seen by Allah, really seen, flaws, sins, and all, and yet accepted. The silence in the room is no longer heavy or accusing. It feels sacred, comforting, and full of presence. She finishes her prayer and sits in quiet reflection, feeling a deep peace she hasn't known in years. A month has passed since the meltdown. Amal is walking down a regular city street on a sunny afternoon. She is wearing simple, modest clothing, comfortable jeans, a long tunic, and a plain, casually wrapped hijab without dozen of pins. She looks like a normal young woman, not a walking advertisement for brands. She stops at a small local coffee shop, buying a simple black coffee, not an overpriced aesthetic latte. When the barista hands it to her with nice latte art, her old instinct to whip out her phone and photograph it flares up for a second. She recognizes the urge, smiles to herself, and deliberately leaves her phone in her pocket. She takes a sip, actually tasting the coffee, enjoying the moment just for herself, without needing to document it for anyone else's validation. She walks to a nearby park and sits on a bench, watching children play and birds fly, soaking in the real world. A young girl approaches her, recognizing her from her past life, and shyly asks for a selfie. Amal smiles warmly, genuinely, without performing. "Sure," she says, taking the photo quickly without fixing her hijab or checking the lighting first. She chats with the girl for a few minutes, making real eye contact, connecting human to human, not influencer to follower. She is no longer performing life. She is finally living it. Amal sits in natural light, no filters, looking directly at the camera with calm honesty. For years, I showed you a curated highlight reel and made you believe it was real life. I built a golden cage of filters, debt, and fake smiles, and I almost lost my soul inside it. Showing off for validation is a spiritual poison that hollows out your sincerity. Don't trade your beautiful, messy reality for a digital illusion. Your worth is not your follower count. It is the sincerity of your heart before Allah. Be real. Be humble. Because the unfiltered version of you is the only one that truly matters to Him.